Sebastian Maniscalco.
My wife and I went to go see Hamilton on Broadway.
It Ain't Right Tour 2024.
Oh my God, it is amazing. We saw it. Oh, it changed me it changed me. Now, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, I ain't gonna like this.
Sebastian Maniscalco, live on stage in Des Moines, Wells Fargo Arena, December 15th, 2024. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit sebastianlive.com.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. Live and on demand across Iowa everywhere. From the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy. Connected by Cellular Advantage.
Welcome to Murph and Andy live on Iowa Everywhere alongside Andy Fales and AD. I'm Keith Murphy. It's good to be here. Good to have a Wednesday, get this hump day over.
Yeah, it seems like a good day. I'm going to ride it out. I'm going to make it for all it's worth today. It's more beautiful weather, at least for us.
Geez. Prayers up to all. I'm sure we have somebody nervous somewhere about people in Florida. I know I'm one of them. My sister's right in the path of this hurricane that's supposed to hit tonight. We're all just hoping that it dies down enough to not be the monster that it could be. Man, they just keep getting socked, Andy.
They haven't even cleaned up from the last one yet.
No.
And the radar just over them was just pouring rain all day yesterday, I think the day before. So there's nowhere for any more water to go, and they're going to get a whole lot more of it.
Well, maybe they're having watch parties down there as they wait. So to anyone watching or listening, our thoughts are definitely with you. It is October 9th. It's show number 17. Today on Sports and More, the Deshaun disaster, JuJu's shoe deal, and where's Caitlin Clark's shoe? And Sigourney Weaver tells a dirty joke. What more could you want on a Wednesday? Right now, high or low since the last show.
Well, I'm going to do a high today, and it is apple season. And I got two really nice apple trees. Look at these. Look at these beauties.
Those look pretty good.
This is a Fuji, Fuji apple. It's a really nice one. That's like the ones you get over at Fairway. But these are better because they come right out of my yard. And I think this is a Jonathan. But look at how beautiful that is.
That's a good looking apple.
I've got two nice apple trees, and they're both chock full of stuff. So then, you just like run out of ways to use apples, but I made apple syrup for old fashions and cocktails. That was the first thing I made. Andrew's not surprised by that.
Not at all.
No, we made apple crisp. Going to make some apple brown Betty. That was my dad's favorite dessert. Ooh. Apple pie. I got a dehydrator, so we slice them thin and then make dried apples, and you can eat apple chips for weeks.
You kind of sound like Forrest Gump with the shrimp.
Apple
crisp,
yeah. Right.
Betty.
Apples are the fruit of the land.
Apple moonshine.
Yeah, apple. That's right. You could make some apple moonshine.
You could do it all.
I need to make friends with somebody who just got out of prison to teach me how to do that.
Well, we can arrange that. High or Low is powered by Well Charter Retirement and Tax. Tim Hawkins is your guy, located in Ankeny. Well Charter, good to have you on board. I'm going to go with a low, but it's also nice to be reminded of one of the staples of my childhood who we learned died this week, not long after Pete Rose died, but it's Louis Tiant. And for anybody my age or even around my age, this was the guy you could not help but try to do an impression of. His pitching delivery. He would turn his back completely to the batter. And he also had, Andy, you remember that glove thing that he would slowly bring his glove down to his belt before his delivery. And he was also a lights out pitcher for the Red Sox in the 70s. He was a big part of those Red Sox World Series in 1975. He shut out the Big Red Machine in game one, back when pitchers actually pitch past the sixth inning. So rest in peace, Louis Tiant. And for those of the people listening and watching that are my age, I guarantee at some point they tried to do a delivery like Louis Tiant, maybe even in a Little League game.
Yeah, the whirling high kick, and he had the great mustache, which he had to keep for the rest of his life. It was so iconic. I don't think he could ever do a different style mustache or facial hair pattern. But he was a guy of the 70s, and a really good pitcher with the Indians in the 60s before he came to Boston as well. He was a good pitcher.
And he loved to smoke a cigar. Mm-hmm. You can interact on YouTube. Email Murph_Andy at IowaEverywhere.com. On X, it's Murph_Andy. And it is all powered by the Cellular Advantage. Now, with 32 Central Iowa locations about to celebrate the US Days, and we'll tell you more about that on Friday. Talk to Doug Eklund today. So stop by the Cellular Advantage. But now, let's get the buzz.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Before we get into the buzz, I have to tell a quick Logier story here. Monday, we're in Arizona. We do the show from Tempe at Arizona State for Family Weekend. And Jenny is contacted by one of our neighbors here in Beaverdale that says, your air conditioner is making just a terrible sound. It's really loud and noisy. So Jenny writes back like, what is the sound? And she tries to describe it, and it kind of comes across as So we put in a call from Arizona to Lozier. They came immediately. We had already scheduled them for Friday to have our furnace checked for the winter, but they came a couple of days early. They fixed the problem and also checked the furnace. So it's good to be on board with Lozier. Appreciate it very much. Could not have been a better experience.
Yeah, good experience with them. Locally owned. Met the people that run that place. It was started here, and they are you. When you call Lozier, you get to talk to the people right here in Des Moines. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go to some call center way out of state, then they call back here. It is local. It stays local, and that's what we like.
Andy, AD, either one of you want to hear me do an impression again of the air conditioner when it was not working?
No, that
okay. We'll move right along here at the buzz. Iowa State men's basketball media day today. It's already taken place this morning. Iowa State expected to have a top 10 team under TJ Otzelberger. The ISU women yesterday media day expected to have a top 10 team, but Iowa State almost has a top 10 football team right now. Some would argue Iowa State should be in the top 10. So as excited as people are for basketball season, this is one of those years that Cyclone fans are like, hang on. Yeah, that's all good, but let's not hurry this along. The Cyclones are 5-0.
Even when they're not having a great football season, these media days always sneak up on us, right? I mean, you're not thinking basketball. It doesn't feel like basketball weather outside, if there is such a thing as basketball weather. But it seems like the meat of the season is still a long way off. So it does sneak up behind me every single year. But this year it is a highly anticipated season.
Ooh, yes, it is.
Both of those seasons at Iowa State, and fans. I normally you would say they can't wait, but you're right. I mean, this year they can wait because their football team is great.
It's also a reminder in the sports of the most interest. Like these are the golden days for Iowa State fans. So Cyclone fans, I know you don't take it for granted, and you should not. Let's get a quickie poll from WCI Pools and Spas as you hear the water rush over AD in the studio.
Halfway to 10 wins. Is this the year that Iowa State finally wins 10 or more football games? Simple yes or no vote.
Won 9 twice. Once like 1908 or something, like long time ago. And then with Sage Rosenfels around the turn of the century under Dan
Yeah, that was
McCarney.
The team that started 4-0.
Yes. And now 5-0. First time in 44 years. Have not started 6-0 since 1938. So that's going to be...
Picture yourself there, Murph?
That's going to be tough for even me to find a picture, but I'm going to try if it happens. 6-0 since 38. Guess who Iowa State, I know this from John Walters, guess who Iowa State beat in 1938 to move to 6-0? Marquette.
I heard this the other night. Marquette,
Okay.
you said? Yeah.
Marquette doesn't play football.
I was gonna say like Iowa Flight Academy or whatever the
Right,
the
right.
Hawkeyes
It's
were
been
called back then.
A long time. It is only 5 games, and the best team Iowa State has played is Iowa. So it's tough to get a complete gauge on this, we're guessing. But I'm going to say yes. I mean, to say 10 wins at this point, especially in the regular season, you're allowing for 2 losses, and you still get to 10. So yes, put me down for yes.
Put me down for a yes also. You know, I think I might even be down for 11 wins at this point, but I don't think of this as I need to see more before I'm convinced that they can go through this season undefeated. We're going to know a lot more after this weekend. I feel like we say that all the time, but I mean, we really will know a lot more after this weekend. And if they go to West Virginia and win, I feel like I'm all in.
Well, West Virginia, as you know, is the prove-it state.
That's
No, I don't
different than
think
the
that's right.
Show Me State, which is my home state of Missouri, but it's really the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I wasn't willing to go to the playoff on Monday when we had our quickie poll. I think it's just a little too soon for me to be all in that Iowa State's going to make a playoff, because essentially that means they have to win, not just win all these games, but then get to and win the Big 12 championship.
Probably.
Likely. But 10 wins certainly seems, again, because I can see a couple of losses. If you throw a bowl game in there, especially, if you add the bowl game, I have a hard time seeing Iowa State not getting to 10 wins.
Mike Dest in the comments here says he's evacuated from the hurricane and he's occupying his mind with Murph and Andy. Thanks, guys. Hey, Mike, thank you for letting us know that. Seriously, that makes me feel good that this might be a distraction or diversion for somebody who is getting ready for that hurricane to hit. So, Mike, all the best to you and your family and your loved ones, your friends, everyone there in Florida. Man, it's been relentless. Over to the Hawkeyes. Iowa's 3-2, not changing quarterbacks. Try to be surprised by that. LaShawn Williams, Caleb Brown, both gone. Kirk Ferentz says going to worry about the players who are with the program and that this is just the cost of doing business. It's the way things are now. I think we agree with that. Says they weren't playing much anyway, and it's on to Washington, essentially. I don't think any of that from Media Day yesterday surprises me, Andy, but it is fascinating how many hyped receivers have come through Iowa and just not done anything that was expected.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that last night. I mean,
Yeah.
they've gotten a number of receivers that had the fan base excited, and none of them have worked out. And Andrew, where does that leave you? I mean, the next time something like this happens, are you hesitant to be excited about it, or do you just keep hoping that the next one is the one that works out?
No, because it always feels like it's the next one, right? And there's always all of the stats to back it up. Now, Caleb Brown didn't do much at Ohio State, but he was a 4 or 5 star receiver and even got to Ohio State. That's like he's Iowa's biggest recruit ever in that position. And I'm blanking on the kid's name from Iowa City who ended up at Nebraska. Oliver Martin.
Last name.
Oliver Martin. Okay.
Yeah, Oliver Martin.
He scored a touchdown in his very first Hawkeye game, right? True freshman, scores a touchdown. It's like, oh my God, we finally got the receiver. And then he did nothing, transferred away, didn't do much, anywhere else either. So I think it helps right now that Caleb Brown wasn't doing much. I mean, we saw him last season look good, but obviously he and Tim Lester didn't coordinate well for whatever reason, whether that be on the field, off the field, whatever it is. He was not finding time in Tim Lester's offense. I really like what we've seen out of Jacob Gill. I mean, he's one of these guys from Northwestern that maybe wasn't the most heralded guy, but he looks like Iowa's best wide receiver. You like Reese Vanderzee, but yeah, no, I mean, if I'm being honest, no, I'm going to get just as excited the next time they get a quote unquote big name wide receiver, and I'll probably be equally disappointed.
If the guy's not playing, you don't really care about losing him, right? I mean,
right.
You can think about it and be like, oh, geez, here's another guy that didn't work out, but he's not playing. So,
and you understand why he would leave. I mean, you can LaShawn Williams, Caleb Brown, they are making business decisions with their careers. They'll both get money to go somewhere else. They're not playing much. So they're making a business decision. Now, we could have a different conversation about what are we teaching young people about when you're not doing well. The thing to do is to leave and go find somewhere else instead of grinding it out and trying to prove that you should be playing more and you should stick with it and you should wait and show patience and learn some lessons along the way. That's a different conversation. But in the world right now, we are seeing, not just at Iowa, but all across the country, players who thought they would be playing, who are not playing, are tapping out before they get to that threshold of losing the red shirt.
It's another new reality we're going to have to get used to as college football fans. There are now 3 transfer windows. There's the just after the season transfer window where a lot of guys go. There's that just after spring football transfer window where you see that's where Charlie Jones went to Purdue and other guys. And now you're going to get that 4 or 5 weeks into the season transfer window. And again, it feels as an Iowa fan like, oh my God, what's the problem? But then you look around the country and it's like, hey, this is reality of college football, like it or not.
It is.
I feel like it's a rest of the season transfer window, though.
Yeah.
I honestly think that at any time during the season, you're just going to have to not be surprised by hearing someone has decided that they're going to leave. Obviously the guys that only have 1 year left of eligibility need to make their decision and make it quick. But the guys that have more than that can really just pull up the stakes at any time and be like, well, I don't like it here. I can see the writing on the wall. I'm leaving. But for those who would be proponents of this system, or at least making excuses for the athletes who are choosing to leave, I think they just sort of change the structure of the lesson, where it's no longer a lesson of, fortitude and, grinding it out and trying to make it work where you are. It becomes like grinding it out and making it work somewhere else, right? I mean, you're just saying, okay, you don't have to stay in that one place and keep working on that. You have to keep working by moving on to another place, and that's how you keep working. And I can understand that. I mean, that's just the reality. So these kids have no guarantees in front of them at this point. If anything, I think they enter the transfer window, transfer portal with, a bit of a mark against them. I mean, I don't know how you ever get past that. I mean, I understand that's the way that we do business these days, but still, you are telling the next places that are looking at you potentially to join them, you are telling them that you're someone that will quit. Or will decide that you want to go somewhere else. You're not going to sit around and you're only going to fight so hard for a starting job there. So I think it is still a strike against that person, even though it's the new reality in college football.
And you're right about the portal continuing the rest of the season, or at least people considering getting into the portal, because Iowa can't be the only ones tampering in college football, right? Kirk Ferentz might be the only one punished for it, but that people are reaching out to these players who they see in situations that haven't worked out for them. Moving along here with some other hot topics on a Murph and Andy Wednesday. The Jets have a terrible offense. They have a good defense. So naturally, they fire the defensive mind, the head coach, Robert Saleh, instead of Nathaniel Hackett, because Nathaniel Hackett is Aaron Rodgers' boy. Now, Aaron Rodgers has gone on the Pat McAfee show today and said he's insulted at the suggestion that he's had anything to do with this change. But people are going to think that he did have something to do with this change.
Oh, yeah, he was pushing him on the sideline 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's what a mess. I almost hope they don't get it turned around, because it's just fun to watch if you're not a Jets fan.
It is a mess, and Robert Saleh will get another job as soon as he wants as a defensive coordinator in the NFL, because he's a great defensive coordinator. But I don't know, if I'm him, I'm tempted to just take a year off and sit back on some of that money. But, man, what a knee-jerk reaction. It's like you're just making an excuse. Well, you absolve your sins by firing the head coach if you're the general manager or in the ownership there, and trying to pretend like he's the problem.
I'm not surprised. I am a little surprised he's fired this soon, but I think the Jets are in that, hey, we got a game coming up against the Bills, can still work this season out, but need a change right now. This Deshaun Watson worst QBR in the NFL is making me and others ask the question, is this the worst deal in NFL history? Is it in the conversation of worst deals in sports history? Andy, we questioned this at the time, way back when, really questioned it. Why you would give a guy with all that hanging over $230 million guaranteed, more than 24 lawsuits alleging sexual assault and inappropriate conduct during massages. That ends up being an 11-game suspension. The Browns are off to a 1-4 start. 5 straight games Deshaun Watson has not passed for 200 or more yards. And the Browns can't do anything because if they cut him, he still has 2 more years after this year, and the Browns would have $172 million in dead cap to cut him. I think this might be the worst deal in sports history.
Yeah, and it looked bad from the very beginning. I mean, it looked bad. It looked bad in 2 distinct directions. I mean, it looked bad PR-wise that you would give a guy with this kind of, this kind of character, this kind of deal. And it also looked bad because the guy hadn't played football in a while. He was going to have to sit out for a while. You didn't know that he was even going to be the quarterback that you were paying for once you got him. And I don't know. I haven't kept up with him off the field. I feel like I would have heard something if there were more big problems. But, I mean, his problems on the field have been so great and so well documented that he doesn't need any problems off the field for fans to feel like the Browns don't know what they're doing. And it's too bad because that is a great fan base. Those are some of the most loyal, dedicated, diehard fans in all of professional sports, in all of sports. These are football fans in Cleveland, Ohio. And they have been starving for so long. I have some friends who are Browns fans or season ticket holders, and they just hate the position that this franchise is in. I mean, it is constantly bringing in new coaches. It is constantly swinging and missing on high draft picks and quarterbacks. It does not. Now they're locked into this gigantic contract, and it doesn't seem like they ever truly make any ground. They'll have a decent season. Everybody gets all excited, but then they can't sustain it. And, when you're a fan of a team like that and you know that the problem is ownership and the upper levels of management, it's really discouraging because there isn't just one person that you can fire. There isn't a couple of people that you can fire. You got to hope that the team is sold.
Now. Can't fire. He can't fire that. And he's got a problem beyond the playing. It's clear if you watch the Browns play, he's got a leadership problem. He's got a confidence problem. He's never rebounded. He's never gotten his confidence back, his swagger back from some of the public humiliation he went through. And I think that matters whatever your profession is. You have to have confidence. When you lose confidence or when you feel like people don't think you're as good as you want to be, it can affect your performance, whether you're a plumber, a broadcaster, or a quarterback. He has lost it, and I don't think he's ever going to get it back. He might get better. They might be able to work this system out where it goes more with his style of play, but I think this is going to be looked back at as the worst deal a football team ever made.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly by the numbers, it has to be just because we're in modern times and he got this gigantic deal. But, I mean, there's a salary cap in the NFL. And when you give a guy that much guaranteed money, you're stuck with it. There's nothing you can do about it.
They gave up 3 first-round draft picks. Chris Hassel and CBS Sports HQ just keep getting it wrong on the champion Chiefs.
Take a Christmas pummeling at the hands of the Raiders as they fall to 9-6, leaving many to wonder if we're watching the end of Kansas City's dynasty. Now, the Chiefs have reeled off 2 straight wins as they head into the postseason, but the deck is stacked against them as they'll have to win in Buffalo and Baltimore just to get to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are heading back to the Super Bowl, but they find themselves as underdogs against a dominant 49ers team. Has Mahomes' magic finally run out? The Chiefs won Super Bowl 58, but now they head into a 24 season a year older with more competition than ever from a rabid AFC. Will this be the year Kansas City finally takes a step back? The Chiefs have significant injuries, seem to trail every game by double digits, but they're undefeated. I mean, at some point, this team has to be cooked, right? The Kansas City Chiefs have three-peated.
Oh, gosh, that will end some people if they win again. It's never been done before.
It will also have the Chiefs fans saying, see, look, nobody believed in us.
No one thought we could do it.
No, we shocked the world again.
We shocked the world with the best football player on the planet. That is not Chris Hassel's worst take. His worst take is if you go back and look at the emergency podcast when Iowa signed Caleb Brown. That's his worst take. He's so excited. He feels like
wait. Did that happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
He had an emergency podcast when they signed Caleb Brown.
It's like the only emergency podcast in Iowa Everywhere history was the afternoon they signed Caleb Brown.
That's Deshaun Watson level.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
Of takes, of bad takes.
Oh,
that's the Deshaun Watson of hot takes. We need to do an emergency podcast. This is so big for Iowa football. Hey, a lot of people felt that way. I thought it was going to be a big deal. It did not turn out to be. The Major League Baseball playoffs have been good. And God bless the Kansas City Royals. They are putting the ball in play. Andy, 31 of 34 Royals hits are singles. You remember the single when you used to advance the runner? It's still home runs and strikeouts in the major leagues for the most part and the playoffs. But the Royals hit singles. All 4 series were tied 1-1. Then last night the Mets and Padres won. And the Yankees-Royals play tonight in Kansas City. It's been a good postseason. You can feel that it's in the shadow of football like it has been for a long time, but it has been good.
Yeah, I mean it's close, and everybody's won a game. You've got everybody still hopeful at this point. You've got some of the big names in there, but then some. You've only got one small market team in there. The others are not small markets. San Diego may be a small market because LA cuts into its market so much, but it's one of the biggest cities in the country.
You got Cleveland, who hasn't won in forever.
Right. Yeah, there's some stories out there.
The Tigers had like a 1% chance of making the playoffs halfway through August.
Yeah, they have won since 1984.
And then you still got the Yankees and the Dodgers and the big market teams also. It's awesome.
The Royals and Yankees have such a history that it's kind of cool. And by the way, George Brett was at the game the other night. If you're watching, I'm just kidding. They showed him like 94 times. And now Sigourney Weaver tells a dirty joke.
My doctor, and he told me to stop masturbating. And I said, why? And he said, because I'm trying to examine you.
Doctor was the first word there. Andy, do you want to hear it again?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, time for throwdowns then.
We're getting there.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns, backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Before we get to throwdowns, this is kind of my section of the show. And so I just, first of all, I want to point out, Murph, when we solo shot you there, that light you have behind you is new.
Yeah, that's
sweet.
New. What's up with that?
How about that?
And you have a picture of a front-loading washing machine over your left shoulder? Yeah. What is that, a Maytag or an LG?
That's a boombox from the 80s.
Well,
it's a boombox. It's
part of a boombox. Where's the other part?
It's like Radio Raheem would carry. It's a boombox.
It's only half of it, though. What's
I know the photo goes through the rest of the office.
Yeah,
Don't
I do like that
from that sweet backlight.
I do like that light. That's a cool one. Where'd you get that?
That's really
light?
cool. And then your lovely wife Jenny she heard the start of the show and you doing the air conditioner impression of what your air conditioner sounded like before Lozier came out and helped it. She sent me the video so that we could see how on spot on you were.
Oh. Yeah. Hey, Murph.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what happened.
Well, I had good intentions. I put in a really thick filter that said it was for people that had, allergens, extra allergens. We have dogs. Jenny has allergies. I was
expensive top shelf 3M filter that's like $30.
And the nice guy from Lozier said, no, you don't need that. It gets too thick and caused that sound.
Okay, but
it's pretty good.
When did you put that filter in? That's what I want to know.
Not that long ago, I don't think.
Was it last year?
No, it
wasn't last year.
No,
you sure?
No, because I change them on a somewhat regular basis. Can we please get to Throwdowns?
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you to Heartland Tire and Auto Center and Travis and all the crew over there. Check them out. We appreciate their support as always. As we mentioned, guys, ready or not, college basketball is almost here. Media day for Iowa was on Monday. Murph, what's your season expectation for the Hawkeye men this year?
Middle of the pack in the Big Ten. I think they'll be a little bit better than people think. I think they'll eke into the NCAA tournament, won't get out of the first weekend, and the apathy will continue. In Fran McCaffrey's, what is this now, 14th or 15th year?
I think 15 now.
But yeah, I think they'll be in the NCAA tournament.
I think they'll be competing to be in the tournament. Gosh, the college basketball landscape is just so hard to put your finger on. I don't know what the rest of the Big Ten looks like at all. They have a couple of players who are among the better players in the conference, which is saying a lot in the Big Ten. And I think you can assemble enough pieces around those guys to put together a good team. I mean, look, they're going into the season with, I don't think, any expectations, and that's good for them. McCaffrey's teams do better when they have that situation and they can surprise some people. But I would not expect them to make the tournament.
I think it'll be good for the fans to not have any more of the Suns around. I mean, it hasn't always been fair to the Suns. It can always be difficult for a coach's son or daughter when things aren't going as fans would like them to. It's a scapegoat, and you could clearly see that was upsetting the entire family at times. And that's done. And it looks like it's done going forward. That could be a good thing.
Yeah, big year for McCaffrey, I think. Needs to have a good season here. All right, Andy, men's basketball media day was this morning for Iowa State. We talked about all the expectations on them. What are your expectations for the Cyclone men this season?
Well, I expect them to compete for the Big 12 title. I expect them to make a significant run in the NCAA tournament. I feel like Sweet 16 is the minimum for anybody to feel like they had a good season. We don't know about injuries and stuff like that or whatever is to come. But at this point, looking forward, you feel like this is an Elite Eight team. And I think that's a reasonable – man, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. That's a big expectation, but that's honestly where I am right now.
I agree with all of that, and I think we've reached the point where you can see that TJ Otzelberger has a formula for the kind of players that he needs to play the style of basketball that he's going to play, and it's going to come down to whether there's enough offense there when needed in the tournament. Can they score enough? They're going to play defense. They're going to hustle. They're going to get after people. Will they have enough shooters to get all the way to the Final Four or an Elite Eight? But yeah, I think you start at the Sweet 16 and being in the competition for the championship in the final week of the season. Those are high expectations.
All right, Murph, I took the family to the movies on Sunday. We saw The Wild Robot. It was wonderful. I highly recommend this movie to absolutely everybody, especially parents. It'll get a little dusty in the theater if you're a parent. I promise you that. Murph, have you ever gone to an animated movie without kids?
I sure have. I saw South Park and the Simpsons movie.
Yeah, I guess I didn't consider South Park. I want to take your kids to that.
I definitely have. I mean, when I was a kid, I went to a lot of Disney movies, and I didn't have any children at that time. So that's a big yes.
All right. Thank you.
I would definitely consider a Pixar movie for sure that had good reviews and good buzz. Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy, and we thank Confluence for being with us for so long and for having us out there to Confluence. Was that last Friday?
Yeah, last Friday. Yeah, that was a lot of fun
for
getting that started. Yep. Too bad we had to work.
I know.
Spent the night there.
We should have set up on the patio. It's probably more difficult, though.
Honestly, we just keep getting these bonus nice weather days where I think you just sort of, when you're planning way ahead, you're assuming that we're probably inside by now or, putting on a jacket. And it just hadn't come yet. We're going to get another perfect football Friday this week.
Yeah, maybe even a little too hot.
Don't even have coats. We're going to Urbandale this week on WHO 13 in prime time. First time to the U. Let's get some more.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
More is brought to you by Either Or Eatery and Patio, and they're cleaning up with all this nice weather and the beautiful patio that they have over there at 6222 Grand Avenue. Outside and inside is a beautiful place to go have a meal as well. The city of Des Moines has itself a new police chief. That came down, just announced this afternoon. We know Dana Wingert is retiring this year, and he will be replaced by Michael McTaggart, who comes from the Des Moines Police Department. He was one of two finalists. The other guy, Commander Wallace, was from the Chicago Police Department. Can understand him wanting to get the hell out of there and come to Des Moines, but too bad he's going to have to stay there for a while. As Michael McTaggart has got the job here in Des Moines.
Not Taggart like Beverly Hills Cop.
Did I say Taggart? I didn't.
No, I'm asking. It's McTaggart.
Michael McTaggart or Mike McTaggart, I think. And I mean, we'll say our goodbyes to Dana Wingert probably later on in the year, but I personally, professionally, have had a very good relationship with him, and
me too.
If Michael McTaggart, well, I know you've had some problems, right? Oh man, I'm sorry I brought that up again. My bad. Erase that part of the podcast, Andrew, before you post it on Spotify. Seriously, Dana Wingert is a stand-up guy, and really, he's going to retire now. Son of a bitch. Getting out so soon, make the rest of us jealous.
What you doing?
God, man. He's not that much. He's younger than you.
But
what are you doing, Dana?
But police years.
Like besides anything you want.
Police years and broadcasting years, especially the past few years, not the same.
I don't know, man. Broadcasting years have been I thought you were saying that they're kind of similar. They are. We both do kind of age and dog years, but no, right. Police, seriously. Michael McTaggart, the new police chief in Des Moines. We need more housing in Des Moines. No doubt about it. Housing of all shapes and sizes, especially affordable housing. We got a couple of good pieces of news here. First, the developer who brought you the Hotel Fort Des Moines that you see here and did a beautiful job with that. Have you been inside that hotel?
I have.
Since they've redone it. It's really, really nice.
It's beautiful.
It has a really nice Proudfoot and Bird restaurant there and a really cool speakeasy in the basement. It's beautiful.
Haven't been to the speakeasy. I've been to the rest.
I think that's called In Confidence. Andrew, am I getting that right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah. In Confidence. Anyway, he did a really nice job with that. He is going to acquire the LifeServe Blood Center building in the East Village, which is a pretty good sized building that's basically right across the street from Woolies. It's in a really important spot. And he is going to, I believe, demolish that building and then turn that into apartments, hotel rooms, or both. Which is good, especially if it's apartments. We need more of those. Then the owners of the Varsity Cinema in the Drake neighborhood, Murph, we know Ben Godar,
right?
Really good guy with the Iowa Film Society. They have purchased the building just to the north of the Varsity Cinema. So, Murph, that means left. If you're looking like this, the building to the left.
Okay, I follow you. Thank you.
That's to the north.
Me.
Yeah, on 25th Street there. They've purchased that. It is currently, I think it's empty, but he's going to do street level retail and then affordable apartments above that. So more affordable housing coming in some pretty good places, pretty key places. We'd like to see that. Now, they do not have this problem up in Polk City. According to census data, Polk City is now the richest city in Iowa. Population of only 6,300 people, but that's going up all the time as it just keeps adding to its population. They're doing well there.
Everyone in Polk City is just stinking filthy rich.
They wipe their asses with dollar bills. They don't even take dollar bills up there. It's got to be at least a 5.
I think they use 20s at this point.
Yeah, it's got
with
inflation. If you don't use at least a 5,
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Coins, they don't accept those in Polk City. McDonald's is finally going forward with an idea that fans have been calling for years. Here you go, Murph. Introducing the Chicken Big Mac.
No.
This looks awesome.
Does it?
Yeah. I got to try
this.
Does
it? I mean, I'll try it. I'll try it. Those are two tempura battered chicken patties.
They're McChickens.
Yeah. Of course, they have to make it all complicated, tempura battered, in place of the 2 all beef patties. Still have the special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on the sesame seed bun.
Nicely done.
But that's coming out. Limited locations beginning tomorrow at McDonald's.
I know what
50
I'm doing
years
for lunch.
Yeah, that looked like you have to be like that kid that like whose jaw comes out of the
That's
sockets.
the thing. It's not going to look like that.
No, it's
going to be about
smushed.
half that size.
That's not actual size.
No.
Yeah. Well, that does look kind of narrow. Look at those 2 pickles next to each other. That's the width of the entire sandwich.
That's a good point. That's the scaling. You need to look at the pickles.
You need scale. Everything else is shrunk. 50 years ago today, Oscar Schindler died in Israel at the age of 66. He had been declared a righteous person by Israel back in 1962 and was invited to live out the rest of his life there, which he did. He was buried in the Catholic cemetery there. And that graveside was made famous by the ending shot of Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List. And it has become one of the most famous graves in the world. And for good reason. I mean, first of all, it's Oscar Schindler. It's in Israel where he has an enormous amount of well-earned respect. But then also there's the Jewish tradition of placing the stone on top of the grave. And so it's just covered with stones all the time, but also people leave flowers and all sorts of stuff. In a very crowded cemetery, this grave really stands out. And that was 50 years ago.
I think many of us kind of learned about that tradition when we watched the movie and then asked some questions about it. And
goes back thousands of years, that tradition.
With Mr. Movie, in just a few minutes, we'll hear about a movie that hits on some of the same subjects as Schindler's List. It's called Lee with Kate Winslet, and I think it's good. We'll find out what Mr. Movie thinks.
Okay, from the files of, why didn't I think of that? We bring you this. A 60-year-old man in South Korea was cleared of DUI charges after a court couldn't prove if he was drunk while he was driving. So here's what he did. After being pulled over by police, the man gets out of the car and pounds an entire bottle of sake. Rice wine, typically about 13% alcohol, which is a lot. That's just like regular wine.
He gets out of the car and he just drinks the sake.
Gets out of the car, opens the sake, and pounded it within 39 seconds. The whole thing. So, although his blood alcohol level was over the legal limit when he was tested, he wasn't tested until 40 minutes later. They saw him pound the sake. Of course he's drunk. So now at this point, they can't say, well, yeah, you were drunk while you were driving, because they got him on camera pounding this entire bottle of sake.
Why didn't I think of that?
That's the file this comes from. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So, hey, let's bring in our man Aiden Wyatt for this final segment here, as Aiden is our resident youngin'.
Thank you.
Look at him with his shoe collection. He could not fit this billing more. Just a shoe collection behind him.
Let's have him participate in this. Hey, guys, I found this list on Facebook, okay? And it's titled...
Facebook?
Perfect. I can see this is going to work out really well, Aiden. Good job so far. The list is called, If You've Used More Than One of These, You Might Be Old. Okay? Let's see how old we are, or if we even agree that these items belong on this list. And then we'll ask Aiden to tell us what he knows about these items.
Got it.
If you have, you might be old if you have used a rotary phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Andrew, yeah.
Yep,
Anybody
sure.
have a rotary phone? I don't know where.
Does anybody
one would
have
be.
does anybody here have a landline still? Andy, you probably do.
No, we did for a while with the kids, but when we switched from MediaCom over to Google Fiber, we just dropped that thing, and it was like it was never even here. Rotary phone, Aiden.
The spinny phone. Where you got
also known as the
phone.
spinny phone.
Yes.
You've used one.
No, I haven't used one. I know what it is.
You saw one at Living History Farms.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, right. Used a floppy disk. Let's say like the big ones, like not the little ones that weren't really floppy, the old school floppies. Definitely, I did. Andrew, did you use one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. We had the Apple II GS at home. That was our first home computer. They all had those big floppy disks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Aiden, how floppy is your disk?
Never used one, but know what it is again.
You do? You've seen like one of those. Andrew, go ahead and mark that down for Friday.
I did.
I don't know that I've ever seen one in person. Come think of it.
Like the drive was like the size of a shoebox. Yeah. It was huge. Used a typewriter.
I missed the typewriter.
I don't. God, those were horrible. I hated those things. If you made a mistake, there was no good way to go back. Aiden, you used a typewriter?
No chance.
Yeah, I've never even used a typewriter. Not for like I've touched one, but I've never actually like put a piece of paper in and typed on it.
See, I really didn't ever either. I didn't. When I was in high school, computers had come out, and the computers had come out. The computers were well out. The Macintosh was out. I didn't use a typewriter either. Murph, sorry about that. Taking pictures with a film camera. Now, this was not that long ago.
Aiden? I mean, we have, of course. I think it's a yes for us on all of these things. Maybe not AD, but of course, yes.
All right, here's one that
we did a thing at our wedding where we had those disposable film cameras and like put them out on every table, and we thought, oh, this is gonna be like one of the coolest things. We got like 3 of them developed, which is crazy expensive now. Yeah, and the lighting was so bad you couldn't make out any of the pictures, so we just didn't even develop the rest of them. We still have like 15
I was wondering
undeveloped cameras in our garage.
Yeah, I worked hard on those pictures that night. This one I don't think belongs on this list. Listen to music on a CD. That's not that long ago. Now, see, vinyl albums is not on this list because vinyl is now is made a huge comeback, and it's by far the most popular physical medium. But CDs, I haven't bought one in years and years, but I still have a lot of them. And it wasn't that long ago where people were listening to. I mean, I have a CD player in my car.
Yeah.
Aiden?
Yeah, I mean, I used CDs as a kid, but I haven't used one in.
Have you ever bought a CD
years.
like with your own money, a band that you wanted?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Well, it used to be an exciting trip to the store. You've never had to
pick the cellophane off a CD. That was so annoying.
I've gotten new CDs. I've just never paid for one myself. Like, gotten them as a gift or something.
Remember those giant plastic cases that the CD would come in that was like that long, and you had to it took forever to get into them. They had to like use a special key up at the counter.
There were so many ER visits from X-Acto blades trying to open up those CD cases and get the cellophane off the CDs.
You needed like a PVC saw to get into one of those. You might be old if you've ever owned a Walkman. I had one of those, man. I carried it everywhere in college and after that.
I got my first one right before I saw Clemson in Nebraska at the Orange Bowl, and I just listened to the Rick James, cassette tape over and over again in the Walkman.
Yeah, you had to. Well, that goes right into the next one. You might be old if you ever made a mixtape, but those were essential. If you ever, can you tell me how you might make a mixtape, Aiden?
No, I have no idea. It is honestly something that is super interesting to me.
I see this as being Andy's go-to high school romantic move.
Oh, yeah. I bet you were
maybe even college.
Good at the mixtape.
Yeah.
I'd still like to make a couple. Yeah, I was good at the mixtape.
Can I take a guess on how to make a mixtape?
Yeah.
Was it like you'd have 2 tapes and 1 stereo, and you would have to hit record on one while the other one plays?
Yeah,
No,
or you can
kind
make. We would. Yeah, I mean, you can make a mixtape off of records, cassettes, or CDs. CDs were a lot easier.
I would listen to the radio and try, so all of my tapes had like 5 seconds of the start of the song missing because it'd be like, oh, and then I'd hit record.
Yeah, you would get it down. You would first of all you would take the cassette and then you'd stick like a pen into one of the reels and then like reel up all of the clear tape part so it would start right perfectly at the start of the recordable part of the tape. And you put that on, you like play and record and pause all at the same time. And then you hit play on the CD player and then immediately take off the pause on the recording cassette.
Thank God for technology.
Yeah, it was. You would get it. You could get it down, but I mean, when you're walking around with those Walkmans, you had to have a mixtape. Otherwise, you'd have to carry like a whole cassette case with you. You might be old if you've ever watched a movie on a VHS tape. That shouldn't be on there. That wasn't that long ago.
I bet it was. I bet Aiden hasn't.
I have.
Oh, okay.
Not that young.
All right, I'm surprised.
Nebraska fans probably have not had a championship since those days.
I actually, Christmas Vacation, every year at my family Christmas, we watch it on the VHS tape.
Oh, Mr. Movie would be so happy to hear that. I can see he's already listening. He's ready for his spot, and you just dropped a Christmas Vacation reference on him. Perfect.
All right. We'll end with this. Cut it off. We'll pick this up another time. I got a really long list. Aiden, you've been a good participant here. Did you learn cursive in school? Cursive writing?
Yes.
Well, then you might be old.
At my school, I was one of the last classes to learn it, I think. Like, I think my sister, who's a couple years younger than me, did it, but I don't know how much they emphasize it anymore.
It's kind of coming back. I know the state of California passed a law that said everybody has to learn cursive now, but I know some schools have kind of gone away from it, but I think a lot of people had a problem with that, and they have started bringing it back. All right, that's your more, everybody. Aiden, good job. Thanks for joining us here.
Way to go, Aiden. Thank you. Thanks for your help. Sponsor shout out of the day is Grimaldi's. So thank you to Grimaldi's. Get those fan photos going here soon and send people off to Grimaldi's.
I think we're going to go there for dinner tomorrow night.
You're going tomorrow night?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
feels
good.
like a pizza night.
Do you need somebody to go with you, or what do you mean?
No, I'm good. I'm going to take the kids, I think. And
no, I'm good.
Kids. No, we're good. We're full. We're going to get a table of 4.
Don't worry about
it.
Yeah. They would.
You can't put 2 round tables together. That makes an 8. It doesn't work.
Fine. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Mr. Movie.
It's time to go to the movies with Mr. Movie, Mike Woody, presented by P&P Small Engines.
Yes, There he is, Mr. Movie, presented by our friends at P&P Small Engines.
And by the way, it's leaf blower season. You're going to start hearing them real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, battery powered is Andy's recommendation.
Yeah, let's hit mute on your computer there, Mr. Movie. So, yeah, because we're hearing ourselves back in our ears.
Uh-oh, hold on.
I think you're good now. I think I got it figured out.
Oh, okay. That was on Andrew.
Oh.
Let's just go with that. All right. Out of the box is a best movie laugh. Not necessarily like Seth Rogen, but just like you were watching a movie and the way someone laughed in that particular movie was just really amusing to you. And mine is from a movie it's not a great movie, but it's a movie I've referenced many times in my life because we live in a 100-year-old house, and every time something goes wrong, I will make a money pit reference because there's just been so much money poured into this house. And my laugh is Tom Hanks when he just can't believe that one more thing has gone wrong in the money pit.
That's a great laugh.
He just loses it, and you can tell that he's lost it completely by the laugh. So I just love that. Andy, what do you have?
Just another reminder what a great physical comedian he can be.
He's also got a great laugh. Like I almost went with Toy Story and Woody's laugh a couple of times. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, any level that he hams up his laugh is really, really funny. Chevy Chase has a great laugh. He does it in Funny Farm. My favorite spot though is when he's talking to the hot chick at the lingerie counter in Christmas Vacation.
Second reference.
Something out for you.
I was just looking at something for my wife. God rest her soul.
Second reference, Christmas Vacation, Mr. Movie.
Not funny.
Oh, so funny. So funny.
That's a
All
great
right, what
laugh.
do you have?
All right, I've got which I it's one of those things you have to sit there and think, okay, who's got the great laugh? And I think, you look at Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, it's classic.
Driving on the expressway with the guy like the fucking maniac.
He does have a great laugh. I miss it. I'd like to hear his laugh more.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've heard him laugh.
Yeah, he kind of gave that up as part of his characters.
One of his movies.
Yeah,
that's true.
Coming to America too. Oh, not a lot of laughs in that.
That Christmas movie. Ooh, bad.
I didn't see that. You
Beverly Hills Cop 3, the Axel, or no, what was that 4? I guess Axel F. That was rough too.
Yeah, too much just plowing through construction in that movie. AD, what laugh do you have?
Yeah, I went way back to Mary Poppins when the uncle
Mary Poppins?
Yeah, the uncle's up on the ceiling. He can't stop laughing, so he's floating, and Dick Van Dyke in that scene. And what a great accent too! What a spot on accent he had.
I don't remember that. It's been so long since I've seen it. As a
Did
kid,
he get ripped for that accent?
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Considered one of the worst ever. Yeah, somebody should have picked Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen does have a great laugh. All right, let's get to the reviews with Mr. Movie presented by P&P Small Engine. And Lee is the first movie, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this, Mr. Movie. It stars Kate Winslet. It's a true story of Lee Miller, who was a model at one time and then became a photographer, and then is like a woman who goes to the front lines to capture what's going on, even though many times she's not allowed. She finds her way in. And yes, that is Andy Samberg next to her, and I thought he was terrific in this as well. Kate Winslet's going to be great. But it is it takes a Schindler's List type turn into some of the realities of Germany and what went on there in World War II. And I thought the first half of this was good, and I thought the second half was great. What did you think, Mr. Movie?
I thought the whole thing was great. And I had no idea anything about this woman or her career or what she had done. But it is absolutely brilliant movie. I mean, it's hard to watch. I mean, you saw it, so it's very difficult to watch. You're dealing with Hitler and World War II and the atrocities, and this woman, she just dives right in. And I mean, obviously we see the pictures, so we know what they look like. I mean,
they put the real pictures and the ones that were used in the movie or staged for the movie side by side at the end.
Yeah.
And it's striking how spot on the story is told. I would say to the atrocities, for anybody thinking about seeing this, it's not 2 hours relentless.
No.
Can't believe it's just a couple of times you are reminded of what went on, and it's a gut punch.
Well, an amazing amount of nudity with Kate Winslet too. I mean,
she's
from
topless
the
a lot in
beginning of
this
the
movie
to the end of the movie, and
it's an R.
Sitting in Hitler's bathtub. That was freaky.
And
is
that
there
really
any
happened.
Is there any comic relief with Andy Samberg, or no? He plays it straight the entire time.
A little bit, because they're friends and they're buddies, and they pick each other up during all this. He's based on a true character too. He was a photographer for Life magazine for like 40 years.
Yeah,
and he's Jewish, which adds to the poignancy of some of what they find behind the lines. It's a fascinating story, and there's, Mike, we can't spoil it, but there is a twist that's really well done. Did you see it coming?
No.
I didn't either.
No. It was.
Imagine it's kind of hard with World War II movies, especially ones that have any kind of connection to the Holocaust, because there are so many good stories that came out of there, fascinating stories. But I don't think that Hollywood they have to kind of hold back on how many they produce, right? I mean, you can't be cranking those out every year. It's just too much.
I mean, this story was so different, and this woman was so good at what she did. I mean, she was just determined to, show people what was actually going on in Germany at the time. And the fact that it was a true story just made it all that much better in my mind.
And she's not always likable.
No,
but sometimes she is, and at times she's even heroic. She's a photographer, photojournalist for Vogue magazine, and yeah, it was a surprise. I saw it at the Palms just because so many people said Joker. We were going to go to Joker, and I know you did like Joker, and it's kind of a polarizing movie, Mr. Movie. I know you like Joker too, but some people just have walked out on it. It got a cinema score D. So why do you think this is so polarizing? Is it because people don't realize it's basically a musical?
Well, it's not really a musical, although it does have a couple of those elements to it. It's a fantasy. It's a comic book.
Because the singing is dream sequences, right? Mostly singing and dancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just, I don't know. I'm a big comic book fan. I kind of wanted it to be great, and in my mind, and I took my son and my wife hated it, but Tom and I both liked it. So
I think that kind of captures it right there pretty well. Your wife hated it because some people hate this movie, and some people are saying it's brilliant. It's just, it's interesting that you could have something that's seen that differently on both sides of it. Another movie you went to see was The Outrun.
Ooh, now you remember Saoirse Ronan, who was
from the Irish movie my mom loved a long time ago, and then
that was a really,
and then Lady Bird. Yeah,
I think that's called Brooklyn. I think it's called Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's really good. Yeah,
she's good in Lady Bird as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this is obviously a very talented young actress, and well, she's not so young anymore. And in this movie, she plays a woman that she lives in London, and she's out drinking every night, and it's a miserable existence. And she returns back to Scotland, most specifically this little set of islands off the Scottish coast, and she rents a house, a tiny little house, and essentially spends like an entire winter and more in this house by herself. She starts out with a lot of alcohol, but once she runs out of alcohol, she has no choice. She can't get out because it's winter. And it's just the performance this woman gives is so harrowing and so intense. It's really, really well done. And it ends on a good note. So, you know, they're going to drag you through the mud for quite a while, but it was difficult at times to watch, but at the end, you know, you felt better that she had come out on the good side.
It sounds like between Lee and the Outrun, you could have two of the actresses nominated for Best Actress.
I think so.
Because Kate Winslet, I don't know how many nominations she has. It must be 7 or 8 by now.
Oh, yeah. But she's only won one.
She's great. So what are the grades for these two movies, Lee and the Outrun?
Lee gets an A- and the Outrun gets a B+. So, I mean, they're very, very close.
Next week, this is a movie I know Andy will want to see too. I want to see. It's about the final 48 hours before Saturday Night Live launched 50 years ago. And I've read the book, so I know it was chaotic behind the scenes. Yeah. Among other things, they couldn't get John Belushi to sign his contract, which means he couldn't perform in that first show if they don't get him to sign. So this, to me, has the potential to be kind of a fascinating R-rated peek behind the curtain. What are you hearing?
I hear nothing but good things on this movie. So I saw a full trailer of it yesterday at the Outrun movie, and it looks really, really good.
Who are some of the people in it? I mean, I can recognize from this photo who's supposed to be Chevy Chase and who's supposed to be Garrett Morris and Belushi and Gilda and Jane Curtin.
Aykroyd.
But are these people we know in any of these parts?
I think there's some of them that you know. The picture that you see there, the guy on the far right, you know. Of course, I can't tell you his name.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you're going to see some people you know, but you may not recognize them right away.
And is there a connection to the? So that'd be Dan Aykroyd over on the right, I guess. But is this the Reitman, the young Reitman directing this? Do you know?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. Ivan's son.
Yeah.
Is it Jason?
I think
it's Jason.
I think it is Jason. And Reitman wasn't in SNL, but he's connected to so many people who were. So Andy, this is like, I remember the first SNL, and I was too young to be watching it, but I've watched all, the different people over all the years. Are you interested in this, or is this too long ago?
No, absolutely. I'm interested in this. I mean, I was way too young to have remembered anything like this, but I am a huge SNL fan, and I feel like I know the history pretty well. And, really, I think what's probably going to strike everybody as interesting about this movie is that we just have always known Saturday Night Live to come off without a hitch. And, it's just something that, doesn't look that difficult to pull off. But I think at the time it really was. And it was really up to the last second. They were not sure if they were going to be able to do it.
Right.
Or if they were ready.
What was the year? Was it 77?
No, 74, I think.
Because we're coming up on 50. We're coming up on 50.
And Carlin is the first host.
Yeah.
I was kind of busy during that time. So
I'll bet you were.
Andy
Mr.
Kaufman
Movie, good to
and
see
everything,
you.
right? Yeah.
So you're going to Saturday night. We'll have a review of that next week. Looking forward to it.
We got? We got something, we got this movie called Average Joe, which is about the football coach. Remember, his team won and he brought, or maybe they lost. I don't even remember.
Took a knee.
They went out and took a knee, and that ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court. So here we get the movie version of that.
That's this weekend too. All right. We'll look forward to that. Thank you, Mr. Movie.
All right, guys. See you next week.
That is Mike Woody, Mr. Movie. And, a good point here from Randy. Randy writes in the comments, what would a day be like without talking about Caitlin Clark? Way to go, Hawkeye Murph. Randy, thank you. I did forget to mention the JuJu Watkins deal. JuJu Watkins, a sophomore at USC, has signed a multi-year shoe deal with Nike. And you can see why. She's a fantastic talent, had a great freshman season, All-American, makes perfect sense for Nike. What doesn't make sense for Nike is to have the most talked about athlete in America this year and to not be running commercials and still not to have that shoe out. That's crazy. We don't.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I mean, why would they spend all that money to sign her just to let this sit for this long? JuJu Watkins may be waiting for her shoe for a long time too. Asia Wilson's shoe, is that even out yet?
I don't think so.
Why didn't she have it? Why didn't her shoe out? I mean, what is taking, like, we know it doesn't take them this long to crank out shoes. They had to deal with LeBron James, and the shoe was out before he played his first game.
Tyrese Halliburton just signed a shoe deal with Puma.
So I know there are some issues going on in the corner office.
The speculation is fear of backlash.
Well, yeah, but Asia Wilson's shoe isn't out either.
I know. I don't
get that. So
I don't get it either.
Why would you spend that money? I mean, clearly they were in a rush to make sure they got her, or they got all of these people before anybody else did. But then why not just immediately, like as soon as you sign them, just release the shoe?
They put up another billboard or poster, but no shoe yet. It is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD squared, and as I see the Game Day Men's Health, it makes me think, AD, is your beard getting even thicker?
Oh, you're damn right it is. The tee shots. That's one of the things they do. No, we appreciate Game Day Men's Health, Ankeny, West Des Moines, North Liberty in the eastern part of the state. The thing I appreciate most about Game Day is they looked at this show and they were like, you know what? We want a talent endorsement. We want the most talented person on this show connected with our brand, and they picked me. So I appreciate that.
What they did was they looked at this show and they thought, who most needs testosterone? They took a look at Andy and thought, he seems okay. They looked at me and like, no way that guy needs any tea. I mean, geez, if anything, he should come over here and donate tea.
You're trying a little too hard, Murph. That's the thing. I think you doth protest too much.
Yeah, you're right.
We do shout out to Game Day. The Cyclone fans are feeling it right now, and rightfully so. 5-0 for the first time in 44 years, and consuming all the content they can possibly get their hands on. I've been kind of doing the same thing. I was listening late Saturday night to our buddy Chris Williams right here on Iowa Everywhere. He does the Learfield post-game show, Cyclone Reaction. And I was just tuning into that on my phone, and there was an interesting call that I wanted to bring back. You know, those late night radio shows, they get interesting.
Charlie, welcome to Cyclone Reaction.
Yeah. Oh, well, hello?
Yeah, Charlie, we got you.
Guys, I'm so excited. Shut up there, kid. I've been tired watching Iowa State football since 1982, and I realize we've had some good teams. Shut up. But I think that Jansen Henson kid is going to be the best running back Iowa State's ever had. I think he has NFL talent more than
Troy Davis is pretty good, dude.
No. Troy Davis, he was a one-trick pony. I think he's better than David Hobbs. I think we've got the horses to beat Texas and Oklahoma this year. And I think we're going to go to the Big 12 championship game at 12-0, and we're going to show the world that Iowa State is what we thought they were all. Shut up! All time. Would you be quiet?
Okay, Charlie, thank you. Appreciate it.
Wow. So you get some interesting callers that late at night.
I feel like I've heard that caller before somewhere.
Oh my God, that's funny. Shut up! The dog kept barking in the background.
I feel like I've heard that caller.
And see that call followed Cyclone Jerry and another nut job that was calling in with some goofy point, and Williams was just like, all right. These late night calls.
He had enough.
I'm tapping out. Yeah. All right. Quickie poll results presented by WCI Pools and Spas.
Halfway to 10 wins. Is this a year Iowa State finally wins 10 or more football games? We got 65% of the vote saying yes, this is it. 35 saying nope. Maybe they got to see a little bit more, or maybe they're just haters. But at this point, they're halfway there.
Yeah.
We're going to know a lot more on Monday about this team. That's a huge game. Wonder what everybody's doing, what their plans are for this game. What time is that game again? That's a night game, right?
Another night game. It's at 8 p.m. at West Virginia, 7 p.m. here. Yeah. So
that's late. That's a tough place for Iowa State to play too. That's a tough place to go and win.
The UCF game the next week, also a night game. Shout out to our friend Howard Barber. He is in Florida, getting ready for the hurricane there, and we want to wish again him and
Howard,
and
be
all
safe,
the listeners and viewers. Yeah, be safe. Be safe. It looks like a bad one. We'll hope it dies out a little bit. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy on Iowa Everywhere. Please, if you would, like, subscribe, and review wherever you get your podcasts through Iowa Everywhere. Use that term, Iowa Everywhere, in your search term. Bring you all the podcasts, including Murph and Andy. And we hope you'll join us Friday we'll be here. We hope you are too. It's an all-new live Murph and Andy Sports and More on Iowa Everywhere.